What out, chaps? How the devil? Hope all is well. Let me just get comfortable. Again, I've jumped out the shower about 5 minutes ago, and my missus made me a cup of tea, and I'm ready for action. I have got a news story to talk about because I was reading that in bed last night, and I thought, this is making me extremely angry. So I've got something to start the day off with. The weather's nicer. I'm not freezing. So I've dropped the deeply unpopular orange hoodie. I bet Boot came up with the towel and for the greater good, communist crap. Yeah, no, I didn't. That wasn't my idea. I wasn't writing the fluff, unfortunately. Basically, I got that gig because it was linked to what I was doing in aerospace, and it was quality control, boring, sort of AS 9100, paperwork, bollocks, 3C, Six Sigma, etc. Nonsense to anybody who's got a life. Not particularly interesting, but it pays. I suppose that's the crux of what I've always said, right, about work. People who think that you should be enjoying yourself, like you should go to work and be buzzing all day, like, yeah. If you think that's going to happen, you're probably in a very, very small minority of people. Most of us are pragmatic, and we go to work because it gives you a sense of purpose and it gives you something to do, and it allows you to pay the bills without being a fucking leech, and it gives you a sense of self-respect. There's many, many reasons to go to work. And just because you don't particularly like your job doesn't mean that I should be paying your way, does it? Do you think bricklayers and plumbers and sewage workers and all of these people who work, again, what have I got these in for? I'm not playing any videos. Do you think all these people who work for a living love it? I think window cleaners are there, but I fucking love cleaning windows. It's mint. Hod carrier going up a ladder with a load of bricks on his shoulder. This is fucking quality, this. I love it. People who actually do work for a living, most of them don't particularly like the job. I mean, you don't hate it, but very, very few people love going to work. And you saying you don't really like your job isn't an excuse for me to feel sorry for you and go, all right, then, well, don't do anything then. I think I should pay for everything. Am I blurred? Maybe I am. It seems all right on my end. Maybe it depends what platform you're watching it on. YouTube does that sometimes, again, because YouTube hates me. I think that might be the issue, but maybe not. I'll tell you what, as well, yesterday I watched some fucking good stuff on Fox last night. The probably the most laughable thing I've seen from the left wing in the United States over the last couple of years. Well, actually, in fact, that's an exaggeration. It's not the last couple of years because they do mental shit 24/7. It's just one of a myriad of lunatic things I've seen the last few years. But basically, they've started crying about the fact that we're being a bit uncivil. And yeah, I'm sure those of you that pay attention to US politics across the pond find that terribly amusing. Let me just check YouTube, right? I'm getting so many comments about being blurred. I want to check the live stream on YouTube. Oh, yeah, that's a bit shit, isn't it? Fucking YouTube. I don't know what their game is. Damn Susan. You know, I've had this said to me before on Quora. There's a guy, John, who has a massive space on there with like 200,000 subscribers. And he was like, oh, I was going to invite you on a stream, but your problem is you're always aggressive towards the people that wrong you. and I am. That is a fault I've got. I'm sure I'd have a 100 times a bigger footprint if I wasn't as antagonistic as I am, but I'm a northern twat and I can't help being a prick. It's in me blood to be stubborn. I remember him telling me that because he obviously didn't want me. Basically, I wrote a lot of pieces criticising the moderators on Quora because Quora, like everything to do with Silicon Valley, is a nest of vipers who don't moderate even remotely impartially while loudly proclaiming that they do moderate. So when they delete or ban me, take this as license to use every single opportunity I've got to call them a bunch of slimy, spineless, honourless dogs. And most people that are trying to build a space on a platform refuse to do that. They're willing to toe the line. That's how they get millions of subscribers, and I get a blurry fucking feed. Because the more Susan reams me out, the more I want to call her a horrible, wonky-faced fucking geezer bird. That's just the way I am. Stubbornness. Maybe that's why. I've not. I'm not a billionaire tyrant, tech oligarch, because I've got consistency. And I don't like being pushed around, and I'm not willing to toe the line. I'm not willing to do anything for any amount of money, and I am incorruptible. So fuck them. But maybe that's why. I'm being persistently pestered by a poor-faced prostitute. I've run out of peas there. She's obviously not a prostitute. Right. A walking target. Been listening to you for ages. There's a name I didn't really recognise, but thanks very much. You appreciate you're not alone in your thoughts. Hi, all. Great to see the names I hear most often. You know who you are. Nice one. It's all great. It's comments like that keep you doing it, isn't it? Even right? I don't do this for love nor money. I do it because we all need to know that we're not going completely fucking insane. And when you see, especially in the UK, when you just get bombarded with the BBC and Sky News and Channel 4 and The Guardian and the fucking Independent, imagine that. Communists calling themselves independent. And all the radio and everything else, you need to be reassured that you're not going mad, because we are the majority, a massive majority. Britain's got, what, 70 million people in it now? Well, that's the official line. Probably had 5 if you're going on to the illegals. But there's 70 million people in the UK. And I'm of no doubt at all that 60 million of them have no truck at all with this shit. The BBC, the official party line, the Conservative Party, the radio waves, the TV stations, the printed media. It's fucking ridiculous. Somebody's used my African acronym there, my African nom de plume. Matty Nung Wankbo. I'm glad to see I'm popular with the denizens of that great continent, Mr. Nung Wankbo. It's a strange place. Right. Let's have a look at this story I picked out, because this made me very angry last night. It's another thing that has long been a theme of mine regarding the death of the meritocracy. Because what I firmly believe is, you kill the meritocracy, and the next step is you kill your kids. Because when jobs involve saving people's lives and dealing with people's safety, the only thing that matters is merit. And the lunacy of the government. Again, if Coca-Cola wants to get woke, they're allowed to do that. I've got a massive problem with YouTube and Coca-Cola and Nike being woke, because I'm a libertarian and they're a free market company that can do what they like. But the reason it's so toxic and dangerous when the government starts doing it is because morons, i.e. the left, seem to think that the answer to evil corporations is big governments. And it's such an erroneous conclusion, because demonstrably, big corporations don't have the power that big governments do. They buy the governments, which is obviously, like Joe Biden's a classic example. The amount of money he's took off special interest groups is quite staggering, but they at least have to go through many hoops and buy many politicians to do so. It's self-evident that government is far more powerful than any tech giant or corporate entity because they have no limits to their power. Coca-Cola can't smash your door in at 4 o'clock in the morning, ransack your house, and lock you in a jail cell without any charges for months at a time. In the United States, amazingly, we've got political prisoners. There's still over 40 people, still, almost a year after the January, I don't use the I word, not the religious I word, the other I word linked to the riot. The January riot, where a bunch of young lads who really don't have a fucking clue what they're doing, and basically didn't do much more than walk through open doors and cause a bit of bother. And they're still in prison now, over 40 of them. And nobody's talking about it. We've got political prisoners in the United States. They're still in fucking jail now. And officially, they haven't been charged with anything. Because the government can do what they like. They don't have to... This shit morons who watch too much CSI and think there's all these rules. Nah. If the government get the paws on you, there are no rules. Look what they did to Julian Assange. The bloke's basically been tortured for a fucking decade. Basically. They can do what they want. And again, the right won't talk about that, will they? Because Conservative Inc. in the United States, as I said on my Twitter feed yesterday, is as bad as the UK Conservatives. And again, I'm sure Sadwings will disagree with me because he's a dyed-in-the-wool Republican. People like Mitt Romney, John McCain, Paul fucking Ryan, Lindsey Graham, Mitch McConnell. These people are just shitbags, self-serving shitbags. Basically, anyone that came out against Trump aggressively, which if you do remember, Mitch McConnell and Lindsey Graham were loving doing that before he fucking won. They can do what they like. And if you're one of these people who watches too much TV and thinks that you can rules lawyer the state, you are very sadly mistaken. In the United States, the legal system's a joke. It's even worse than in the UK, the legal system. Because in the United States, the legal system, the process becomes the punishment. They can accuse you of something and you're done. Pretending to walk through due process becomes the punishment. How can these guys still be in a jail cell a year after a minor riot in which the only person who got killed was an unarmed woman who got shot in the face by a copper? They were like, oh my gosh, she was going to kill Nancy Pelosi. What, with her bare hands? You do a basic threat assessment when you're a police officer, don't you? What threat was the unarmed woman with a MAGA hat on? Well, she took 2 rounds in the face, so she should have been a threat of some kind. Oh, right. Oh, no, you don't need to be if you're doing the killing for the filth, do you? I love to use the term Thatcher's puppets because it's a comical lefty phrase from the 80s. But yeah, when Thatcher's puppets do it, you get away with it. If some unarmed, young, skinny woman gets shot in the face by a copper, crickets, they don't care. Mitch McConnell doesn't give a flying fuck. All these rhinos, they don't care. They can do what they want. So, yeah, in the United States, legal system's even worse than the UK's. We aren't free people. Americans love to keep going on about it, and I've made the point many times. We are in the shit in the United States. We're just less in the shit than the UK. So when I fall out with American conservatives, who typically I get on with, is when they sort of crow about how free America is. It's like, no, we're all getting fucked because we've had it too good for 70, 80 years and we're now resting on our laurels. None of us are free. It's an illusion. Yes, the copper was exonerated to Andrew Cooper. Yeah. Copper was exonerated. Of course he was. We knew he was going to get exonerated before he was exonerated because he's a copper. Not a copper that shot a citizen that the establishment doesn't like. like Derek Chauvin, he was a copper doing the establishment's work for them. And if you're a copper that's working for the powerful on Capitol Hill, you can shoot as many people in the face as you like. You're always going to get exonerated. All of the dodgy stuff that went on with Comey and Clapper and Brennan and fucking all these agents of the state that were lying, cheating, stealing, wiretapping, breaking 24 laws, none of them get in any trouble. And still you get Americans going, oh yeah, we're the only free country in the world. We're not a free country. We're just slightly less free, unfree than other places. So the United States, I think, is in a worse place with the legal system. As far as I'm aware, the UK doesn't have dozens of political prisoners that were locked up in the fucking gulag and nobody cares about it. In the United Kingdom, we don't frequently have people on suicide watch in the cells just getting murdered by agents of the state, and we all know it, and everybody knows it, to the point where like Ricky Gervais is going on screen at the Emmys and saying, we all know Epstein didn't kill himself. Everyone just chuckles about it, but nobody's going to do anything about it. So everyone's got the problems. I don't want to piss on any chips of any Americans watching, but yeah, America's not a free country either. Try stopping paying your property tax and see how fucking free you are. See how you get on. Just because we can have guns doesn't mean we're all totally free. It depends on the issue, doesn't it? In the UK, you're free to cross the street wherever you like. I've had a couple of coppers shout at me for crossing the road where they didn't like. That I didn't feel very free then. You can't put a bet on wherever you like in California. You can't even find a bookies. That's not very free. It depends what issue you're talking about. There's degrees of freedom depending on where you are. In some ways, France is more free than America. In some ways, right? You can buy unpasteurized milk in France that you can't get in the United States. You can probably get a hooker much easier. Of course, the French fucking brothels on every street corner. So it depends where you are. In the Netherlands or in France or in Brussels, you're probably more free in some ways in America. And in America, in other ways, if you want to get a gun, you're a lot more free than Europeans are. It depends on the issue. But legally, America's in a bit of a state. And the fact that nobody's talking about all those political prisoners absolutely astounds me, especially on the left. Anyway, more talking about shit. Let's do this story I found, because I want to talk about it. The death of the meritocracy. Kill your meritocracy, kill your kids. Right? This story. Valentina Oriana Peralta. I'll get that right. I think that's right. I'm English. But I have learned since living here for a few years, 2 L's, right? It's, yeah. Oriana. Teen shot by police in LA dies in mother's arms. Just try and put yourself in the position of this family. Because it's fucking... Again, I have an icy black heart. The bootneck is a stoic that thinks he can handle any issue that assails him. But this is enough to melt even the most icy of hearts, right? A mother's 14-year-old girl was killed by a stray bullet in a clothes shop in LA. Valentina and her mother, who moved to the US from Chile, were in the store when an officer fired at a suspect who was attacking a woman. The bullet pierced a wall and hit her. Soledad Parada wept as she described begging officers to help her, saying they just left her laying there. The girl's father, who flew to LA from Chile, told reporters his daughter had once told him the US was the safest country in the world. I take no pleasure in pointing out that Bootketeers and anybody right of fucking Chairman Mao is well aware that if you want to be in a safe place in the United States, you do not move to one of those 10 big cities which are dominated entirely by liberal activists and their poodles in office. Parts of the US are extremely safe, but you know and I know that several of those parts that aren't would be LA, New York, Chicago, San Francisco, San Diego, anywhere where left-wing ideologues have got their filthy, dirty, sweaty fingers on the reins of power. The likes of Lori Lightbrain in Chicago are not fit to fucking polish my boots, let alone run a major metropolitan area with millions of people residing in it. So I am sorry, Juan, but your daughter was misled. She obviously was thinking of another city that hasn't been ran into the ground by lefty arseholes who are more concerned about the rights of homeless sex offenders than they are in the safety of young women to go about the business unmolested. He said the actions of the police officers involved had been negligent, adding, "I will not rest until the last day, until all these criminals are in jail." Well, Juan, you're not going to get any rest. You're not going to get any rest. Because, as I've alluded to 10 minutes ago, think of the politics, right? George Floyd, violent, dangerous, drug-addicted, fucking clip of a man, was widely mourned because there was political hay to be made. If they do the right thing and go after these police officers in true blue Los Angeles and make the true blue mayor, Democrat mayor, and the true blue Democrat judges look bad, there isn't political hay to be made. So if you think one's going to get justice, you've got a head full of cow shit. You are living in a liberal fantasy land. LA Police Chief Michael Moore, what a name, played it down as you would expect and said, it's a chaotic incident. A chaotic, yeah, I bet it fucking was. In a statement read by a lawyer, Valentina's mother recounted how she and her daughter had heard a commotion and screaming outside the changing room while trying on dresses for a birthday party at a North Hollywood department store last Thursday. It was a long sentence. They had sat down together, hugged each other and prayed. Mrs. Peralta said she had felt something hit her daughter, throwing them both to the ground. Valentina's body went limp and she tried to wake her up, but she didn't. She screamed for help, but nobody came. When the police finally came, they took me out of the dressing room and left my daughter laying there. I wanted them to help her, but they just left her laying there alone. Not even basic battlefield first aid. They just went, fuck it. You want to make an omelette? That's like a left-wing mantra now, isn't it? You want to make an omelette? You got to break some eggs. They're not eggs. It's a 14-year-old girl. You useless twat. Getting down to the best bit, so probably panicked, probably haven't got trained to anything like a decent standard. A bootneck who's done his basic training appears to know more about fucking first aid than these incompetents who kill children. It says, Miss Peralta said, seeing a son or daughter die in your arms is one of the most profound... I can't even imagine. Like I said, and I'm a miserable bastard. I can't imagine what that was like. Police had been responding to reports. This is something that the coppers get right in the UK. Or they did when they were competent. Lee Rigby now, they'd probably put 200 rounds in the fucking guy's face because they'll be as cowardly and badly trained and 5'2", morbidly obese dwarf with PTSD from choosing the wrong wallpaper. That's the type of people we employ now. But 15 years ago, when we still employed ex-military, former bootnecks, paras, people that were actually fit and confident and capable, we employed them to be police officers because it was a natural fit. Now, they say, no. Well, 6'2" former commando. Oh, I don't want him to be a copper. Now we need a roller policeman. We need roller lesbian. We want roller lesbian. We want black Stephen Hawking in a fucking tutu patrolling the fucking streets. That's what we want. We don't want physically fit, strong, independent men being police officers. Yeah. We want clubfoot, hair lip, cleft palate, roller dildo, fucking demisexual gender fluid, fucking insert buzzword of the week, lesbian police, police there. It's a joke. So these soy boys in uniform are incompetent, and we know why, because they're not hiring people based on merit anymore. And that was the bit that shocked me the most. Police had been responding to reports that a man was acting erratically inside the store and attacking customers with a heavy bike lock. Right? So Lee Rigby got his head lopped off. His fucking head lopped off in the streets. And because competent police officers responded to it, because they always do in England, right? 90% of the police are fat, useless box tickers. And the ex-commandos and the ex-paras and the like are all on the flying squad. So when it really kicks off, they send the competent police. But 9 out of 10 coppers are fucking useless. And this is why this angers me. Because turning the police force into dwarvish, obese, transgender, fluid babysitters results in countless hours of suffering every single year. Every single victim who needn't have been victimized as a result of the coppers being fatter, weaker, cowardlier, and just generally less competent than they should be. It results in pain and suffering that goes far beyond this young girl getting killed. But this is just one really good example. Because Lee Rigby's killers were there with a severed head in the street, covered in blood, holding a machete, and one of them had a firearm, and both of them still lived, as they should, to see the inside of a courtroom. This is one thing that I often disagree with the very right-wing people on. You should see the inside of a courtroom. I don't want to go down the road where coppers do a dirty Harry and summarily execute people like commissars in the grim future of the 41st millennium. You shouldn't have policemen murdering people unless it's absolutely necessary. So the credit of the no doubt military veterans stroke physically fit young men that are confident and capable that took down Lee Rigby's murderers. They both saw the inside of a courtroom. These soy boys in uniform in Los Angeles were responding to a man with a bike lock. And just speaking from experience, when we were operating in Afghanistan, not once did anyone in my company shoot somebody who wasn't at least armed with a long-barreled weapon. We were always very, very, very careful to ensure that anybody we shot at thoroughly deserved it. These guys haven't even got the nuance, the wherewithal or the confidence to not fire 10 rounds at a fucking bloke armed with a bike lock. I haven't seen the body cams, Bob. I'm simply pointing out. I guarantee, so maybe this is a good time for me to stake my claim, right? Because I haven't seen the video. I just read the BBC story. Let me spew what I'm thinking into cyberspace, confident that I can back up everything I'm saying with logic, and you can then put your own opinions together, as you should always do by doing your own research. But I'm very, very confident that what I'm telling you is going to be true, right? Rather than this be dealt with by tall, strong, fit, confident police officers, and they could just go in, instantly take down a man acting erratically with a bike lock without any loss of life. I do not see an excuse for why that couldn't be the case. If this was in the fucking 1980s and you had a skinny fucking baghead, probably a mentally ill person, so I doubt he's some, roided up, physically fit weights bro, some mental case with a bike lock in Debenhams in Middlesbrough. The second two coppers turned up, they'd have truncheoned him round the fucking head as soon as looked at him, and he'd have been laid out. So I'm confident that this, when there's a summary investigation into it, or when there's a video or what have you, the issue is going to have been the police are fucking incompetent. If it was, I'm not even a copper. The only police training I did was in Northern Ireland and during my OPTAG advisory training to go to Afghanistan and Iraq. I'm not a copper. If a bloke was twatting a woman with a bike lock, I would not need to discharge my firearm. I guarantee you that. We dealt with people like this when you're a soldier and you're out on the ground and you see men being violent towards women, but it's not deemed to be of a dangerous enough situation where you have the authority to shoot the bastard, then you take them down by other means. If that was me, and I'm just a civvy at this point, if I was simply inside the shop and I seen a bloke twatting a woman with a bike lock, I'd have fucking grabbed whatever was closest and heavy. Again, I could do some Jackie Chan bollocks because I think I'm fucking Ahmad, Bruce Lee, Johnny Commando. I could just run over, fucking do a quick side kick into his knee, turn him into an ostrich, and then fucking stick my thumb in his eye. And basically, I'm confident I could take him down in 3 seconds. But I'm just trying to occupy the space most normal men would take. If I seen a bloke twatting a woman with a bike lock, hello, Andrew Carr. I almost thought I said Andrew Marr then. I was like, Jesus, not another communist watching the Angry Bootneck. If I was a normal bloke in there, it's grab the fucking fire extinguisher or something heavy because you're in a department store and twat him round the back of the head with it. The coppers getting the rounds down to the point where one went through a wall and hit a young lass is criminally negligent on the side of the police. And if you come here expecting me to just constantly stick up for the Rozzers because I'm not a left-wing arsehole, I'm afraid to tell you you're in the wrong place because that's not the way I roll. I'm a free thinker. I'll defend the police when they deserve it and I criticise them when they deserve it. This is them deserving it because they are not hiring the best people. I guarantee if two coppers that were ex-military, like ex-paras or something, I don't want to just say fucking chair force, but two men who had a bit of nuance, nobody would have needed to fire a round. The guy's armed with a bike lock. You don't need to shoot him if he's got a knife. I mean, I tase the cunt or something maybe. But to kill a young woman, this is down to the utter decay of the police force, down to wokeism. I guarantee it. Now, again, this is going to stay up on YouTube. You can all go and pull me apart in the comments later on. I haven't watched the video. I just read the BBC story. I guarantee coppers are fucking useless. It says no firearm was found. Body cam footage shows officers closing in on the man with their guns drawn as he bludgeons a woman. An officer opened fire with a rifle and a 24-year-old mental case died at the scene. That's what it's going to be. It's going to be a raving lunatic, fucking schizo or whatever. He's not going to be like, what is he, a fucking hitman? He's there with murder on his mind and he's using a bike lock. He's going to have been a nutter, probably drugged up, maybe schizo, whatever's wrong with him. And there is no need to blow his fucking head off with a rifle. A high-powered rifle. I mean, again, this is common sense. If you're going to shoot him with something, you take like a beanbag gun or a shotgun, right? Because the reason people use low-caliber rounds when you're clearing buildings like a fucking... You don't just whip out the Desert Eagle like bullet-toothed Tony is because the bigger the round and the higher the velocity, the more likelihood it is of going through 4 fucking walls and killing a kid. That's why I've got a small 9mm pistol for home defense and I haven't got an RPG or a fucking 50 cal, right? Because rounds don't just stop when they hit things. It's not Hollywood. Most of the thick twats that now make up the LAPD probably think it's Hollywood. and they all think they're badasses because they've watched a lot of movies and they saw Bruce Willis kicking ass in fucking Die Hard, and therefore they think, nice one, bloke with a bike lock, I'll get 30 rounds down and 29 will hit him because I'm fucking awesome. Like Bruce Willis on Tears of the Sun, where he's headshotting people from 300 meters with a pistol, even though it's physically impossible. This is what we're living in. We're living in a time where the meritocracy doesn't exist anymore. And police officers don't seem to understand the basics of armed response, unarmed response, threat assessment, first aid, use of force, rules of engagement, basically every fucking thing that you would expect a police officer to be competent in, they aren't. They aren't. So I don't give a fuck. Throw me some videos and I'll watch them at a later date. But this poor fucking girl is dead because of wokeism. There's my pitch. Do with it as you will. Wokeism killed that girl. Card Alpha. Yeah, basic Card Alpha. How long did it take to train us to be fucking... Before my Northern Ireland tour, they just beasted us with Card Alpha and rules of engagement. So we were all terrified to shoot anyone. You all knew that if you fucking discharged a single round at anyone who didn't not just thoroughly deserve it, and there was fucking 20 bits of evidence that they thoroughly deserved it, you knew you were in the shit. And these modern, useless, woke fucking police officers are not fit to police the streets. I know, guys, my mate Jim was in the Met for like 3 years or something. He was a detective. He went in, got his promotion, worked as a detective for about a year, and then fucking left because he was disgusted by what he's seen. I've got more than one informant now. I've got quite a big YouTube channel. I've got more than one person who has been either former Met or current Met or desperately seeing out the time before they can fucking retire. And the stories I get regularly is that the modern police are completely incompetent. And as Andrew Cooper says, yeah, you can get yourself in court 40 years later. That's how strict they are in the UK. So it's a piss day. Wokeism killed that little girl. The idea that a policeman should be selected based off their innate characteristics is wokeism. It's the only thing that should matter when hiring a police officer is that the police officer is competent. And if you get 50 people apply for 10 spots, all 10 of those spots should go to the fittest, the fastest, the strongest, the smartest, the best read, the most learned, the most composed, the most confident, the most capable person. And because that doesn't happen anymore, and my 6'2", physically fit, mentally robust, highly intelligent bootneck mate, Richie, was told, sorry, mate, you've done great at everything, but we need some more black disabled lesbians. So what are you going to do? Well, that's what you're going to do. That's what you're going to do. Scared of their own shadow, some of these fucking coppers. Scared of their own shadow. So they're killing them out of incompetence. When I seen the video camera of that bloke who killed, there was a lad who died. It was about 10 years ago. I can't remember his name now. Someone Taylor. It might be Chris Taylor. I just remember the surname because it was the same as mine. There was body cam footage of this policeman killing an unarmed white lad. So nobody cared. He wasn't doing anything. He wasn't involved with anything. They were responding to a call. He was walking away from the scene with his headphones in. Didn't hear him. And the copper jumps out the car, shouts, you there, what are you doing? And this guy, because he didn't even respond to him at all, because he's wearing his headphones, totally ignored him for about 20 seconds. And then when he finally span round, because he's obviously heard the guy screaming, the copper just went, shot him. I've seen the footage. Someone Taylor, I'm sure some train spotter in here will be able to find it. It was down to wokeism. You could see his hands were physically shaking. He was like that. Like he was pulling himself off. That does look a bit like I'm jacking it, doesn't it? His hands were like that. You could see. You could hear the tremor in his voice, and you could see the tremor in his hands. And he was like, for freeze, motherfucker. And then, innocent man, unarmed man, dead in the street. I've seen dozens of them over the years. That's why I've got a bee in my bonnet about it. I seen one of a fucking bloke who was about 80. Yeah, the drunk white guy in the hotel car. I made a video about that slip over a year ago now, though. I seen a video of an old man who was about 80. Maybe old 85. He was like a proper old fat bloke in a pickup truck in America. And he gets out the car and he's clearly proper doddering. He can barely move. And he goes, well, doesn't know what's going on. And he dodders over at the slowest speed possible to get his crutches out the back of the truck. And as he's pulling one of his crutches out, his walking stick, whatever it was, the two cops go and just shoot the shit out of him. They're terrified. If that was me and my oppo in Afghanistan, when I was in Afghanistan, when I was doing the Concourse job, we were one of the only people in the whole of the Kabul area that had a single me. We had clearance to move around in a single vehicle without a convoy. And me and him used to cut about in fucking Kabul when there was 2 VBIEDs a day. That's vehicle-borne improvised explosive device. For the civilians listening, they used to fill the car with fucking explosives, fill the boot with 107mm rockets, wire themselves up and drive about looking for a convoy. And as soon as they see a military vehicle, they just drive at it and fucking blow you to bits. And the only defense you had was if you really suspected the car, you could tell if it was really low to the ground because there was so much high explosive packed into it. If you really had a very deep-seated suspicion and you gave multiple warnings, you were cleared to fire a warning shot through the engine block and a warning shot through the windshield. And if they're still driving at you at this point, because you're allowed to keep them 100 meters away from your car, you had the, I don't know why I've got a very itchy ear today. Maybe I didn't rinse it out properly when I got out the shower. Or there's a bubble in there. Anyway, you had permission to shoot them. And if me and my mate were in Afghanistan, a war zone where people are getting killed every week, and an old man was getting out of a truck like that with a walking stick, we wouldn't have even dreamed of firing around at him. We'd have been sat there going, hey, look at this old bastard. Because we're trained, because we're competent, because we're confident. It's that the reason you do so much physical training as a soldier is not just because it's important to keep you alive on the battlefield. There are numerous reasons why they make you do so much physical training. The physicality of the Royal Marines is legendary. The slowest among us can run a fucking 7-minute mile. It's hardcore training to be a Royal Marine. And the reason they do all of that physicality is not just so that you're confident and quick and strong on the battlefield and you're going to survive longer, but it's also because it engenders a mentality into you. When you've done it all and passed it all, you are so imbued with the knowledge that you're physically dangerous, that you have a confidence that is exuded in everything you do. It's why it makes you proud as well. It's why Bootnecks are good employees and we're not late for work and we don't take sick days, because you're a proud person, because they've engendered it to you and they don't do it for no reason. Clever people come up with this shit. Everything they do in the military has a reason. I'm sick of trying to tell moron politicians about bullying. Oh, they're bullying them. They're not bullying you. They are sage people, and they are preemptively saving your life. Because if they don't thrash the tits off you and weed out the weak from the strong, nothing good will come of it. You'll either have deaths on the battlefield due to their own incompetence. You'll have deaths on the battlefield because of their inability to watch their oppos' sixes when they most require it. You'll have deaths on the battlefield because they don't have a fucking clue what they're doing when it comes to firing maneuvering or negligent discharges or blue on green or blue on blue or no knowledge of the medical emergency battlefield. There are numerous reasons why you do this. And if we still had police officers that were physically fit, athletic, this shit would not happen, because it makes you confident, makes you strong. A man who'd done commando training would not be there with a scrawny, mentally ill dipshit with a bike lock going, freeze, motherfucker. It wouldn't happen. I could have handled that on my own. I wouldn't even need a partner. But if there was two of us, we'd have been, look at this silly bastard. Bosh. See you later. Are you all right, love? Yeah. Quickly, you do some serious medical attention to her. I will administer medical aid to the bloke whose head I've nearly caved in. Nice and professional. Then I'd have him tagged and bagged in an instant, give him a bottle of water to check he's hydrated in the back of the van, search him thoroughly so I know he's not going to shoot somebody when he gets out the fucking van, as we just saw in the UK, because they are woke and incompetent. Right? Anybody remember that, by the way? I just remind myself of this shit when I'm ranting. Does anybody remember that? A police sergeant, the guy who books the criminals in, getting slotted because of the gross incompetence of the officers that arrested. Does everybody remember that? That is just another example. It's wokeism. So you kill the meritocracy at your own peril. Kill the meritocracy, bury your children. It is not hyperbole to say so. I don't care whether you're talking about this or whether you're talking about a fire lesbian, right? Because if my fat 70-year-old father is hanging out of a burning building and a little fat black girl in a wheelchair turns up, guess who's not getting carried down the fucking ladder? I'll save you. Stephen Hawkins on the fucking scene with a yellow hat on and a Dalmatian. Do not be afraid. Backup is on the way. Fuck off, roller fireman. Get me someone who's got biceps like sacks of smashed gravel, preferably an ex-bootneck, not some fucking useless diversity hire. Again, what is unreasonable about the things that I say? I'm not having a go at anyone for being short and fat and lesbian. I'm having a go at people who are wholly unsuitable for jobs being given them because of communism. That's all I care about. I'm not saying you're not valuable. If you're short and fat and weak, everyone's valuable. Joking aside, everybody is. I take the piss out of people because I'm childish. I would never do it to somebody's face. I'm a nice person. I'm a fucking people person. And when howling fat birds have ever tried it on with me, I've never once said to them, fuck off, love. You look like you've been apple bobbing in a deep fat fryer. Never. I've never went, I haven't got a girlfriend, love, but you've got an ass like the back end of a bus. I let them down gently and say something like, oh, I'm sorry, love. I'd love to, but I've actually got a girlfriend. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, you're dead nice, though. Cheers. That's what I do when a fat rat's bird propositions me with some lewd sexual comment in a fucking nightclub in Exeter. That's what you do. So I'm not saying these people aren't valuable, but when you're doing when public safety matters, when you're dealing with life and death, you have to get the best man or woman in rare instances for the job. Women are fucking brilliant. Women are brilliant. There's some women are better than men at some things. Men are better than women at some things. Everyone knows women are better at multitasking. My missus is better than me at loads of fucking things. But she isn't better than me at carrying a fat bloke down a ladder, punching a fucking mentally ill homeless man in the face and getting him in a chokehold, or firing a fucking rifle. And there is science for that last one, by the way, lefties in the chat. There is science that suggests because of our long evolution, men are better at shooting than women. It's to do with cones and rods in the eyes, speed of movement, perception. There's loads of reasons. So that's why. Women are class. Loads of things that can be good at. But if you're a little fat roller lesbian, you are valuable. You are valuable to society. And I hope you vote for a right-wing party. But you should be doing something that you're good at. Roller lesbian might be better than me at like working in a bank or working as an accountant. Maybe she's a maths wizard. Maybe she'd be a physics genius. Roller lesbian could be better than me at thousands of things. Yeah, she might be better at maths, better at science, better at biology, chemistry, history, definitely better at scissoring, muffing birds out, finding the elusive clitoris. There's loads of things roller lesbian is better than me at, but she's not better than me at being a copper or being a fireman or doing anything that requires healthy biceps and strong lungs, because if you don't do that, innocent people can die. Right? Eating. Better than me at eating. Or are you talking about me there, Matt? I don't know. So there's fucking plenty of things that birds can do better than me. But not shooting 14-year-old girls in the face while they're shopping with their mothers is not fucking one of them. Sunflower, I've just realised the road rash from you. No, that was carpet burns, remember? We've established it was Elton John bumming me senseless. It was a carpet burn. Don't be hiding, glossing over the facts. I told you it was only temporary, right? These things just take a while because, road rash, fucking, if you ever fell off a motorbike, that shit takes months to leave. Anyway, Kenny found a clitoris once. I don't believe him unless Kenny is trans and used to be a woman. Right, I'll call that. That was nearly an hour. You can have that for free, you bastards. Thanks for watching, everybody. That's today's whinge over and done with. Please, let's go back to a meritocracy before we have to bury more fucking dead kids. We need to be the woke need to just do one forever. Hiring. All hiring should be based around competence. I don't care whether you're talking about being an accountant or being a copper. All right? Carpet burns heel, but your bum being kicked in lasts forever. Nah, they get better as well. You just have to sit on an ice pack for a bit. Right? Thanks, everybody, for watching. I'll be on late tomorrow. I have to go and do an hour's work. And I've told you guys I'm part-time now. Working full-time is for poor people. I'm working part-time, but I have to go in tomorrow for a couple of hours. So I think I'll be done for noon here. So that's 8 o'clock. I'll be on at 8 o'clock tomorrow. Give or take half an hour. All right. Thanks for watching. See you at 8 p.m. UK or noon if you're one of my rare American Californian chums. Everybody else, whenever it is in your neck of the woods, be that Australia, America, or fucking South Shields. All right? Good night. Like it and share it and all that bollocks. And I'll see you all tomorrow. Take it easy.